With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Our top stories.
90-day campaign data points to family structure breakdown as dominant reason for crime in SKN. The Nevis Island administration to monitor the use of its vehicles with tracking devices.
St. Kitts Nevis Robotics Association discuss upcoming induction and awards ceremony. 200 plus members to be inducted. Miss Teen St. Kitts Nevis Caitlin Wilson talks Haynes Smith prep on sugar fix. Opposition deputy leader hurls mace outside House of Assembly in the Bahamas. Antigua and Barbuda says Venezuela land deal will open doors to export market. Internationally, Syrian rebels capture second major city after military withdrawals. Now, the details.
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis launched a 90-day campaign in September 2024 aimed at addressing crime, violence, and delinquent behaviors through a public health perspective. Scores of stakeholders gathered at the Solid Waste Conference Center on Thursday morning, December 5, to hear the preliminary report of the 90-day campaign on crime and violence, spearheaded by a task force on citizen security. The campaign's results were derived using focus groups, asset mapping, interviews, surveys, and walkthroughs from across the Federation. Diverse groups participated, including youth, women, men, the differently abled community, religious groups, community-based organizations and associations, marginalized groups, entrepreneurs, and Elevate. The individuals and groups discussed the possible root causes of crime and violence, mitigants, and barriers to crime solutions. In his presentation, Mr. Hans Richards, a public health expert and researcher, revealed that family issues such as a lack of parental guidance and interaction were recorded as the dominant root cause of crime, according to community feedback.
And we recognize that family would have been the most outstanding root cause. And so they would say not enough time for parents after work, parents are not punishing the children anymore, parents don't have time to speak, they don't socialize enough with the children, things like that.
Based on the data presented, the family, community, and schools were listed as the top 3 priority groups for shaping solutions to crime and violence.
We asked the questions, what would be the solutions to the crime and violence, to curbing the crime and violence in the Federation? So we have schools, we have family, and we have communities who are have greater necessity or greater need to fix the problem, bring the solution rather than the government. The government is in 4th place. So that shows that the direction in which we are going in looking at the crime and violence from an infectious disease standpoint or a public health standpoint is important from a holistic standpoint, is important to be an all-out approach because we recognize that the government is not the answer to the solution.
According to Richards, participants suggested that barriers to achieving solutions were a lack of community activities and peer pressure.
So the barriers, lack of community activities. So that I hear a lot of. Well, we don't have enough games, we don't have enough children playgrounds, we don't have this, we don't have that. So now we see what would be a barrier. If we don't have enough community activities, obviously we would have deviant behavior because as we say in St. Kitts, the devil find work for idle hands. So that would definitely be one of the reasons for that. So we need to have more community activities. And peer pressure continues also to circulate in the root causes and one of the barriers in the fight against crime and violence.
The general analysis of the 90-day campaign community engagements, combined with a USAID crime study in St. Kitts and Nevis conducted in December 2023, revealed that the family structure is broken and society would need to work together to find ways to strengthen families, Richards declared.
And previously we would have had a research done by USAID, and they looked at the gangs and they would have interviewed children of high school age and the risk factors for gang affiliation and the reason for methods of gang joining were very, very much explained during that interviews and surveys. And so what I did, I made a correlation between the root causes and the reasons for methods of gang joining and the risk factors for gang affiliation. So I correlate them and this is what I got. So families, again, they said that it's family. If the family is not strengthened, how can we strengthen family? How can we make family better? How can we educate parents so that we could prevent children from taking the opportunities or using that as the opportunity, because everybody wants to be somebody, everybody wants to go somewhere, and everybody wants to be a part of something. And so if the family is not strengthened, then they would find somebody who would make them feel like somebody. And then we also look at the probability, what are the probability or the possibility of the root cause leading to murders. Again, I correlated the same two findings with this finding as root cause, and again, it boils down to family. We look at the probability of a quarter or 0.25 probability that a child, male or female, would commit murder if the family issues are not dealt with. The implication, understanding which root cause have the highest probability of escalating to severe crimes, allows for target prevention measures. This can inform policies addressing critical risk factors more effectively.
Another presenter, Alicia Collins, a community counselor, emphasized how the whole community's involvement contributed to the campaign.
Community engagement has been at the heart of this initiative. Across the Federation, we connected with diverse groups, including youth, women, and vulnerable populations. While initial skepticism was a barrier, we saw a shift as individuals recognized the value of their voices in shaping solutions. For example, in one of our focus groups, one of our teenagers said, "This is the first time I've been asked what I think should change." And one of our seniors would have expressed, "Thank you for remembering us." So this underscores the importance of fostering trust and active participation. It allows person to think about, where do I fit in the public health initiative.
Meanwhile, the Citizen Security Task Force critically assessed youth involvement in the 90-day campaign, noting that young males were leading several focus groups and conducting presentations with the support of female counterparts.
In a few of our communities, there were young persons who were leading the presentations. We applied the focus group technique in some of these areas, and our young persons were leading the discussions. Our young persons were note takers, they were leaders, and they were lead presenters. And most of them were boys. And even in one of our community settings, one of the members, he stood up and he said, "All hope is not lost. Being here today, I recognize our young people, you need to have your voice heard." And so he felt, he expressed how he felt being amongst the boys, and they were leading all of the tables. As a matter of fact, some of the girls were just providing support, and the boys were saying, "I will lead." And so this is noteworthy.
The community engagements provided several benefits, including building trust within the communities, empowering community members, accelerating long-term change, and generating data and feedback. Given the campaign's national coverage, the data and feedback collected from community engagements would be used to develop strategies and solutions. In the upcoming fiscal year 2025, the Nevis Island Administration NIA will enforce the appropriate use of NIA-owned vehicles. During his 2024 budget address for the fiscal year 2025, the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, made it clear that the abuse of government vehicles has put a notable strain on taxpayers. He emphasized that the practice must stop.
Madam President, we have to tackle abuses of government property, which cost the taxpayers large sums of money. I am sure that members of the public see government vehicles on our roads at all hours of the day and night. They are at the supermarkets, at churches, and at the bars around the island. The wear and tear and fuel all come at a significant cost to the people of Nevis. In addition, whenever accidents happen, the taxpayers are again called upon to bear the cost. We have found that some officers who have these vehicles as their personal vehicles are also still collecting travel allowance monthly. This abuse has to stop.
Successive administrations condemned the misuse and abuse of government vehicles. However, directives that all NIA vehicles should be parked up at the end of each workday unless providing essential services were soon brushed aside. Brantley said tracking devices will be placed on all NIA vehicles to monitor their whereabouts and enforce the instructions.
In the new year, we shall install tracking devices on all NIA vehicles so that their whereabouts can be monitored at all times. I remind officers that government vehicles are for government duties, not for personal pleasure or for personal use.
Brantley did not say whether disciplinary or administrative actions would be taken against those who abuse or misuse NIA vehicles.
During the December 4th, 2024 broadcast of WINN's Island Tea, representatives from the St. Kitts and Nevis Robotics Association (SKNRA) discussed an important upcoming event, the induction and awards ceremony. Scheduled for Wednesday, December 11th, the ceremony will formalize the induction of 222 new members, bringing the association's membership count to approximately 800. Mia Alexander, the Assistant Executive Director of the SKNRA, shared,
"We're going to be growing because our association now has maybe 600 members, and now when we're adding these members, it will increase to maybe 800 something members."
The ceremony is expected to be a significant milestone for the association, which began with just 15 members in 2017 and has seen substantial local and international growth. The upcoming ceremony marks the SKNRA's first ever induction event and is anticipated to be the largest of its kind. Alexander emphasized that this is not merely a formal acknowledgement, but also a reflection of the association's achievements and future aspirations, stating,
"This is not just our first induction ceremony, but this is actually the biggest induction and award ceremony that we're having. It serves as a testament for what we're doing right now and what's to come. So this is one of its kind."
The induction grants official membership and offers access to resources and opportunities for members to become robotics instructors. As Alexander describes, the association welcomes everybody, highlighting its inclusive membership and participation approach. Financial support and additional resources are vital for the association as it strives to enhance its program and capabilities. Alexander and Mary Shelford, the executive secretary, expressed a need for a dedicated facility to better accommodate their growing membership and activities.
We need a space. Currently, we are at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. So we need a facility that can hold all our members, where we can build and where we can meet.
In addition to facilities, the SKNRA also needs greater government support and recognition, particularly in advertising its achievements and programs. The upcoming induction event will serve as a celebration and fundraiser. Tickets priced at $35 will support future projects and initiatives. The event will feature live performances from local artists, further engaging the community and creating an energetic atmosphere for attendees. Miss Teen St. Kitts Nevis, Caitlin Wilson, prepares to represent her country at the upcoming Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen Pageant. On December 19th, 2023, Wilson, representing the Bastia High School, walked away with the Republic Bank Miss Teen St. Kitts and Nevis crown on December 19th, 2023. Haynes Smith, a staple in St. Kitts for 41 years, is set to undergo a significant transformation beginning with the 42nd edition on December 29th, 2024. The pageant will rotate to different Caribbean countries, with the British Virgin Islands serving as the host nation for the first time. This year's pageant will take place at the Multisports Complex in Road Town, Tortola, reflecting the Caribbean's diverse cultural framework while providing an enriching experience for contestants. In an exclusive interview, Caitlin Wilson shared insights about her journey and aspirations.
Hello, I am Caitlin Wilson, representing our beautiful twin federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in the Haynes Smith Caribbean Talented Teen Pageant. I'm a remarkable 16-year-old with an extraordinary passion for dance, aerial arts, and gymnastics.
Having previously won the Miss Teen St. Kitts title, Wilson's reign has been filled with opportunities for personal growth, increased confidence, and cultural engagement.
My reign so far has been good. I've been attending events, meeting new people, opening opportunities. So it's been going really well. It's very cultural. So I think I love my reign so far.
As the competition approaches, Wilson is keen to showcase her talent. The pageant is scheduled for December 29th, but Wilson will remain in Tortola until January 5th, participating in various preparatory activities, This extended stay will allow deep cultural immersion and bonding with fellow contestants.
I think we have a lot of activities to bond and to get to know the culture.
With a background in dance and performance, Caitlin's confidence shines through as she prepares to represent St. Kitts and Nevis on a regional stage.
Talented Teen kind of eased myself into the pageant life, so it's not super scary. It's like I know I can disappoint. I won't, but I can. So it's a little intimidating. But other than that, I don't really feel scared in a sense. I feel excited, but not scared.
She affirmed, indicating her readiness to take on the challenge, much to the pride of her community. As the pageant draws closer, Wilson is grateful for the support from her home country and eager to present her talents to the Caribbean audience. In regional news, opposition deputy leader hurls mace outside House of Assembly in the Bahamas. Eyewitness News Bahamas has that report.
Well, in a scene reminiscent of a pivotal moment in Bahamian parliamentary history, the House of Assembly turned into turmoil today when the historic mace was hurled outside during a heated session. We have team coverage tonight. Our Jose Etienne and Laurencia Smith standing by. It prompted substantial police presence and also resulted in injury. This unrest followed a protest that spiraled out of control outside of the halls of Parliament. Jose has been following this story. He joins me from the House of Assembly. Jose?
Janea, it is a pretty scene here outside the lower chamber, but what you're looking at right now diametrically opposes the uproar, the turbulence that gripped this part of the Bay Street area where the lower chamber sits. And so it's being called pandemonium inside Parliament as a member of Parliament from the opposition Free National Movement seemed to have had enough of the House Speaker, Patricia DeVoe, reportedly silencing his opposition colleagues. And so he literally took matters into his own hands to make the opposition's voice loud and clear.
Now I will say.
A visibly frustrated opposition member of Parliament, Shannon Dawn Cartwright, hurling the mace, a parliamentary instrument, out of the House of Assembly's window on Wednesday morning after opposition leader Michael Pintard was denied an opportunity to speak in the lower chamber.
Okay. Government may have its way, the opposition ought to have its say, Madam Speaker.
But his actions, which sparked total chaos in Parliament, did not go unpunished.
Remove the honourable member for St. Barnabas from these proceedings.
Cartwright, Pintard, and the rest of the opposition were subsequently dragged out of the lower chamber. Moments after Pintard and his parliamentary caucus were hauled out of Parliament, he addressed reporters amid a ruckus scene, insisting that there continues to be wrongful aggression towards the opposition.
That's typical of this administration. They are a disgrace. They would rather be aggressive with us than be aggressive against criminals.
And as for critics, particularly those on the governing side who say Cartwright's actions were simply theatrics that took center stage in the lower chamber.
What is theatrics is this government that continues to do a poor job bringing relief to the Bahamian people. Disrepute has been brought to the name of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and this government must stand up and hold itself accountable.
St. Anne's MP Adrian White was among the opposition's MPs who were thrown out of Parliament. He's decrying the way he says police mishandled him.
We have the dream about the police that incarcerate us in Central Station, taking into vehicles, SWAT vehicles, almost thrown down the stairs on the way down. I'm a member of Parliament, attorney for 20 years. This is not my Bahamas.
Now, the pandemonium began long before Pintard and other opposition members of Parliament went inside the lower chamber. Shortly after 9 a.m. today, opposition executives and supporters marched down Bay Street as they strolled a casket to suggest that democracy is dying at the hands of the Davis administration, only to be confronted by Police Assistant Commissioner Javargo Dames and other police and defense force officers who seemingly obstructed the opposition from having its way in the middle of Bay Street. But Pintard told reporters that the opposition refuses to sit idly by as the country's reputation is being sullied on the heels of a United States indictment that levied severe corruption allegations against a senior police officer, senior defense force officer, and an unidentified high-ranking Bahamian politician.
So either they are incompetent or they are complicit. Yes. Or maybe it's both. What we are saying today is we are no longer going to tolerate their refusal to answer questions put to them.
Now, Janelle, by the time that state of disorder began to dwindle, we spoke with opposition leader Michael Pintard, who says he and his opposition caucus had an opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister, Philip Davis, as it relates to the opposition's concerns. A conversation Pintard described as civil. But opposition officials say there are no regrets about all that unfolded here outside the lower chamber. They say they're simply looking to do the people's business, even if it's from the other side. Reporting from House Chambers, I'm Jose Etienne.
Antigua and Barbuda says Venezuela land deal will open doors to export market. ABS Antigua has the details.
The new Framework Cooperation Agreement is set to see Antigua and Barbuda gain access to 25,000 acres of prime arable land in Venezuela to boast both crop and livestock production. It will bring significant benefits to Antigua and Barbuda and potentially other members of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, ALBA. Not only will it boost production for consumption in Antigua and Barbuda, it is set to put the country in a position to increase exports. Agriculture Minister, the Honorable Anthony Smith Jr., is excited about the prospects.
As well, Venezuela, they have the climate which allows for certain crop production and fruits that we are unable to grow in Antigua. And the lands available also puts us in a position to have very large-scale productions to meet our demands and to even go as far as to put us in a position to export. So the collaboration is a significant step towards strengthening our agriculture sector and enhancing the food security throughout Antigua and Barbuda.
The land will be available to Antigua and Barbuda for 30 years at no cost, with the option to renew the agreement for a further 30 years. Minister Smith expresses gratitude for Venezuela's support, emphasizing that this partnership will significantly bolster Antigua and Barbuda's agricultural sector.
It has been instrumental to our development over the years. And a prime example of that is the Venezuelan PDV subsidy, which provides crucial monthly assistance to many elderly across Antigua and Barbuda.
In addition to the provision of the expansive acreage of land, the Bank of Alba will go a step further to provide the resources to support the development of the project. The framework agreement signed last week lays the groundwork for further preparations, with another agreement set to be signed in the first quarter of 2025. Under the arrangement, the government of Antigua and Barbuda will have several options to utilize the lands in Venezuela, with the aim of maximizing benefits to Antigua and Barbuda's farmers. Teresa Goodwin, ABS News.
We now bring you these international reports.
Islamist rebels making another breakthrough in their surprise offensive in Syria, this time entering the strategic city of Hama, apparently unopposed. You can see the rebels riding into the city on near empty streets and being welcomed by cheering local people. The rebels turn the cameras round and film themselves celebrating. The Syrian army says it has now withdrawn its forces from Hama, effectively ceding control there to the rebel forces. Well, the rebel campaign to seize the city began just 2 days ago, and it comes after their surprise capture of the city of Aleppo last week, which reignited the war in Syria. Let's get the very latest from our correspondent, Barbara Plett-Usher, who's monitoring events in Syria from Beirut. And Barbara, this lightning offensive by the rebels seems to be continuing apace.
Yes, as you said, they launched their offensive last week and took the city of Aleppo almost without resistance. That was a very speedy seizure of the city, which surprised everyone. And then they pushed south from Aleppo towards the next big city, Hama. There, the government did put up a resistance. The Damascus sent reinforcements of soldiers to fight them off. And they have been fighting there over the past couple of days. But now they have managed to take the city. They have moved into Hama. They have actually seized control of the prison there and released inmates. And the army said it was redeploying outside Hama in order to prevent civilian casualties. So it seems to be another big retreat by the army and another big victory for the rebels. And that's really going to send shockwaves through Damascus. This city is on the road to Damascus, and there's one other major strategic city, Homs, in between Hama and the capital, and the rebels have said they're going to move on to that city.
All right, Barbara, thank you very much indeed. Barbara Pless-Usher there with the latest from Lebanon. And we can also talk right now to Dr. Rim Tukmani, who's a Syrian Senior Research Fellow at the London School of Economics. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Just talk us through what is going on in Syria right now. We've got this offensive. Who are the rebels? What are they trying to do?
So just going back to your reporting earlier today, you described them as Islamist groups. These rebels, while they are a coalition led by Islamist group, but the bulk of it is actually just ordinary Syrian people. They're not exactly Islamists. They were the people who were kicked out of their cities, out of their towns. They've seen their brothers and sisters killed throughout 12 years. They've been preparing themselves throughout the last 4 years because there was cessation of hostilities, and they were trying to seize the moment. And the moment came with the weakening of Iran. Russia partly withdrew from Syria, and they saw the opportunity to grab some of the cities, hoping to force Assad to come to a real and serious settlement.
So taken Aleppo, taken Hama, it appears, and Homs, which I think is where your family are from in Syria. That could be next, is that right?
They're saying now they want to go to Homs next. My father now in Homs, all my sisters were pleading to him to leave the city now, and he was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I think that would be the attitude of most people in the city. This is our city, we're not going anywhere. And as far as I know, the rebels who are trying to get into Homs are people from Homs itself. So they will be from the city. That will be safer. They know it. They know all the fears. They can address all the issues. And they're already very aware now of the sensitivities. Like we have many peoples in Homs who are extremely worried, who are very supportive of the regime. They will be terrified now. And the message I heard is that they're aware of this. They're not going to touch them. They're trying to give reassurances now. What's going to happen on the ground, we don't know. It is important to watch because it's very different composition to Hama or Aleppo.
Let's just put this into a wider historical context. All this began with the Arab Spring uprising, didn't it, 2011? Then we had the Syrian civil war, brutal civil war for many years. That then sort of fell out of the headlines, didn't it? We reached a sort of stalemate. But this has all reignited the war. So where does this leave the Assad regime, do you think?
Because the roots of all of this is that people who were governed historically against their will and by dictatorship. This was not a civil war. While there was a strong civic war element, but that's a proxy war. Everything happening now is mainly due to regional alliances and changes in the regional dynamics, weakening of regional allies. What's happening? What happened
so
yesterday?
just on that, because Hezbollah have been weakened,
Iran
because
has been weakened.
Russia is fighting against Ukraine. So,
Exactly.
So Assad's allies have sort of got other things on their minds.
Absolutely. And on Friday, there's a meeting in Doha between Turkey, Iran, and Russia. And the fact that there was a fierce attempt to take Hama before Friday is actually to change the negotiation dynamics on that table based on how much area they've taken. Hama is significant, and taking Hama and Salamiyah, they took another nearby city, is absolutely significant. And the hope is going to change the outcome of the negotiations in favor of the opposition.
Do you think ultimately Assad and his regime could fall?
They could fall. For the first time, I can say they could fall. Assad insisted on refusing every attempt for a political solution, for real negotiations. They failed lately. Turkey was trying to negotiate with him, and what we're seeing lately is because of the failure of the negotiation track with Turkey. So if he continues to refuse to settle and sit on a table and agree to share power with his own people, not with the extremists, put them aside, The people of Syria, they deserve to have stake in their own country, share power with their own people, and just continue to just take the country to hell with you.
After being ousted by a no-confidence vote, French Prime Minister Michel Barnier officially resigned on Thursday. But he and his government were asked to stay on in a caretaker role by President Emmanuel Macron. A statement by the Elysée said they would remain while a new Prime Minister is nominated. After a barely 3-month reign, far-right and leftist lawmakers toppled his government in a no-confidence vote, making the former European Union's Brexit negotiator the shortest-serving Prime Minister in modern French history. The vote was triggered by Barnier's attempts to push an unpopular budget through an unruly hung parliament without a vote. It caps off weeks of tension, with far-right National Rally's Marine Le Pen describing the budget as too harsh on working people. Barnier's resignation further weakens the position of President Emmanuel Macron, who started the ongoing crisis with an ill-fated decision to call a snap election in June. Macron himself faces growing calls to resign, but he has a mandate until 2027 and cannot be pushed out. For now, France risks ending the year without a stable government or a 2025 budget, although the constitution allows special measures that would avert a US-style government shutdown. Macron was meeting allies and senior politicians on Thursday as he sought to swiftly appoint a new prime minister. Sources told Reuters that he wanted someone in place by a ceremony on Saturday to reopen the Notre Dame Cathedral, which US President-elect Donald Trump is due to attend. The new Prime Minister will face the same challenges as Barnier in the divided Parliament. There can be no new parliamentary election before July.
Choc d'espérance qu'attend la France.
French bonds and stocks rallied on Thursday on what some traders said was profit-taking following the widely expected outcome of the no-confidence vote. But the relief rally is unlikely to last, given the scale of political uncertainty.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were:
90-day campaign data points to family structure breakdown as dominant reason for crime in SKN. The Nevis Island administration to monitor the use of its vehicles with tracking devices.
St. Kitts Nevis Robotics Association discuss upcoming induction and awards ceremony. 200 plus members to be inducted. Miss Teen St. Kitts Nevis Caitlin Wilson talks Haynes Smith prep on sugar fix. Opposition deputy leader hurls mace outside House of Assembly in the Bahamas. Antigua and Barbuda says Venezuela land deal will open doors to export market. Internationally, Syrian rebels capture a second major city after military withdrawals. Thank you for listening.